Hey guys, this is Andrew with rockclass101.com, and in this week's ukulele lesson, Matt's going to be teaching you how to play the Charleston. Now, I've always been a big fan of this tune for a couple of reasons. First off, it's got a super catchy melody, and secondly, it's a tune that's played with a lot of energy. And I've got to say that Matt's arrangement really encapsulates both of those elements. It's just an absolute blast to play. Now, I did get a chance to play through all of it, and I've got to say that it's going to be perfect for the advanced player. So it's going to be a good challenge for that level. And there's a few reasons why. First off, we think about the tune. Remember, it's a lot of energy in it. That means that it's played at a brisk tempo. Secondly, as you probably noticed while watching Evan play, it's got some pretty big chord jumps where you're going up and down the neck. So that's going to make it a little bit challenging. And thirdly, there is some syncopation happening. So the rhythm isn't going to be super straightforward and cookie cutter. And that's what makes it sound so cool and so fun to play. Now let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the lesson. So in this video, Matt's going to be teaching you how to play the entire arrangement. But if you want to get the tabs to print off and follow along with, that's going to be available at this link. Or you can go to the site rockclass101.com and do a search for the Charleston. Now also on that page will be the interactive on-screen tab viewer. Now this is a really cool feature where you can hit play, you can watch the tabs scroll across in real time, you can highlight bars to loop sections, slow it down to any speed you wish. Just a great asset in learning this song that much easier. Alright guys, I'm going to go ahead and hand it off to Matt to teach you how to play this, and then I'll see you at the end of the video.
Today we're going to work on a solo arrangement of the Charleston. We're going to start here with theme A, and we're going to start with the first measure. Now, as far as how to play this with our strumming or picking hand, I like to use 4-finger picking for the most part, which means I'm going to station my thumb on the G string, index on the C string, middle on the E string, and ring finger here on the A. I'm going to use this for a lot of it, but I'm also going to alternate with just using the thumb. Whatever's comfortable for you will work out great. We're going to start with the C5 chord. To play this, we're just going to take our ring finger, place on the 3rd fret of the E string, pluck our G, C, and E together, then just the open G. So that measure in time is something like this: 2 and 3 and 4 and. Going on to measure 2, we're going to play an E7 chord and do an up strum. To do this, index finger on the 1st fret of the G string, middle finger on the 2nd fret of the C string, and ring finger here on the 2nd fret of the A. And when we do this up strum, I like to use my thumbnail to create this effect. Make sure that you're strumming really gently with the nail and that you're not digging in too much to get that sort of sound. And then we're going to play just the G string, 1st fret, for the 2nd note. So in time, that's something like this: 2 and 3 and 4 and. Going on to the 3rd measure now, we're going to play an A7. Take your index finger, place it on the 1st fret of the C string. Go ahead and pluck all 4 of those strings. And then we're going to play the open A. And then we're going to move our index finger up to the G string 1st fret, play that, and then open on the A again. So that is something like this: 2 and 3 and 4 and. Then we go on to measure 4. We're going to go play this A7 chord, a different one. Move all the way up. Middle finger to the 9th fret of the C string, ring finger to the 9th fret of the E string, and the index finger here on the 7th fret of the A string. Pluck all 4 of those strings. And then we're going to go back down to that first A7 we played, just the index here on the 1st fret of the C string. Pluck all 4 of those. So in time, that's something like this: 2 and 3 and 4 and. And so now that we can hear it, here is measures 1, 2, 3, and 4. Nice and slow, but in time, should be something like this: 2 and 3 and 4 and. Going on to measure 5, 6, 7, and 8. Starting on 5, we're going to play a D7. To do this, index finger on the 2nd fret of the G string, middle finger here to the 2nd fret of the E string. Go ahead and pluck all 4. And then we're going to move up to this D9 chord to play that. Bar across the 5th fret with your index finger. Add the middle finger here to 6 on the C string and the ring finger here to 7 on the A. Pluck all 4 of those. So in time, that's something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... Measure 6 now, we're going to play a G7 sus2. It's really simple, just play a G7 without your middle finger, without your ring finger. Middle finger on the 2nd fret of the C string, index finger on the 1st fret of the E string, nothing on the A string. We're going to pluck all 4. We're going to play this awesome G13 to do that. Index finger on 5 of the C, take your ring finger and bar it across the 7th of the E and the A strings, pluck all 4. So in time, 6 is 2 and 3 and 4 and... Going on to measure 7, you're going to play a C6, all open. And then we're going to play a C, 3 on the A. Then we're going to play an E flat diminished 7. You're going to play 2, 3, 2, 3. Index on the 2nd fret of the G string, ring on the 3rd fret of the C string, middle on the 2nd fret of the E string, and pinky on the 3rd fret of the A string. Pluck all 4 strings. So in time, measure 7 is something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... And then measure 8, the hardest part of the song, I think. You're going to go to this G7 chord. And to do this, you're going to take your index finger and bar it across the 5th fret of the C, E, and the A strings. And then you're going to add your ring finger on the 7th fret of the E string. So it's 0, 5, 7, 5. You're going to start by plucking your G, C, and E strings. And then you're going to play the 5 on the A, then the 7 on the E. And then you're going to move back to our G7 sus2, which we played earlier, which is just the index and middle fingers on the E string 1st fret and C string 2nd fret. Then you're going to play 2 on the A, then open on the A, and then move the index up to 1 to play on the G. This measures a bit of a doozy, sounds something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... So now that we can hear it, here's measures 5, 6, 7, and 8, nice and slow. It's really easy to make mistakes on this, especially when you're playing it slow because some of the runs are so quick. So it's okay for you to isolate these measures, play them a little bit faster, and then work up the speed. But let's go ahead and hear what it sounds like. Nice slow speed. 2 and 3 and 4 and... Going on to measure 9 now, we're going to basically play the same thing we did before. In fact, 9, 10, 11 are exactly identical to 1, 2, and 3, which is kind of cool. Should sound something like this in time. 2 and 3 and 4 and... Now, when we get to measure 12 is where it changes. Instead of going up to that high A7, we're now going to play a D9 chord. To do this, well, we're going to do it the same way we did before. Bar across the 5th fret with our index finger. Add the middle finger here to 6 on the C string and the ring finger here on 7 of the A. We're going to pluck all 4 strings. And then we're going to play 7 on the A again. So measures 9, 10, and 11 are the same as 1, 2, 3. And then measure 12 is very similar to measure 5 using that chord. Kind of cool. So here's what 9, 10, 11, 12 sound like in time. Something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... And so that we can hear it, here is the entirety of melody A, going all the way through measures 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Should sound something like this. A little bit quicker this time though. 2 and 3 and 4 and... From here we go on to melody B, theme 2. When we're playing this, it's kind of cool because it's going to use a little bit of a campanella effect. And campanella is allowing yourself to play melody notes over multiple strings so that they can kind of ring out. And we use some hammer or some pull-offs rather to facilitate this as well. And I really like how it came out. So we're going to start by playing just 4 on the C string with our ring finger. We're going to pluck that C string. Then we're going to use our index finger on 2 of the A and pluck that 3 times. What I like to do with this is alternate my index and middle finger because it makes it much easier to play quickly. If you're trying to all do that with the ring finger, it can be quite a bear. So I'm going to play that the 3 times. Then I'm going to do a pull off and open on the G. So in time, that's something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... Going on to measure 14, all that we need to do here is take our middle finger, move it to the 3rd fret on the C string, play that. And then we're going to play the 2 on the A, or excuse me, not the 2 on the A. We're going to play open on the A this time. We just played 2 on the A before. Now we're going to do open on the A 3 times. And then open on the G. And then index is going to play 2 on the E string here. So measure 14 in time is something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... Measure 15 now. We're going to take that middle finger, move it down another fret to fret 2 on the C string, pluck that. We're going to take our ring finger, add it on the 2nd fret of the A string, play that 3 times. Do the pull off. And then our index is going to go to 1 on the G string. So in time 15 is this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... And then measure 16, we're going to go to a G7, middle finger on the 2nd fret of the C string, index on the 1st fret of the E string, ring here on the 2nd fret of the A string, pluck our C and E together, and then 2 on the A 3 times, do the pull off again, and then open on the G. So 16 in time is something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... So now that we can hear it, here's all of theme B. It's going to be measures 13, 14, 15, 16, again, using that campanella effect to really make it sound good. Should be something like this. I'm going to play a little faster this time. 2 and 3 and 4 and... And from here we go on to melody C for the 3rd theme of the song, which is going to be a lot of repetition and things that we've already played to this point. So we're going to start here with our C5 chord. Just take your ring finger, place on the 3rd fret of the E string, pluck your G, C, and E. You'll notice this is very similar because this is exactly the same as measure 1. And then we're going to play the open G. And then if you look on to measure 18, it's the E7 with the 1 on the G string, and then the next measure 19 is the A7. It's all the same. Measures 17, 18, and 19 are exactly identical in every single way to measure 1, 2, and 3. So let's go and hear that in time. Should be very familiar. 2 and 3 and 4 and... Going on to measure 20, it's going to start off the same as measure 4 with that high A7, the 9-9-7, middle finger here on the 9th fret of the C string, ring finger here on the 9th fret of the E string, index finger here on the 7th fret of the A, pluck all 4 strings. And then it goes down to the A7 chord down low, just the index on one of the C. That is exactly the same as measure 4. However, it's going to change here by, instead of just holding it, playing the open on the A twice. So measure 20 in time should sound something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... And so that you can hear it, here's 17, 18, 19, and 20, which again, the same as 1, 2, 3, and 4, except the last two notes of 20 should sound something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... Going on now to measure 21, we're going to go up back to our D7, 2-0-2-0, just like we played it before with our index and middle fingers. Pluck through all 4 strings. Then we're going to go to our D9, which we also played before, bar across the 5th fret. Add your middle finger here on 6 of the C, ring finger here on 7 of the A, pluck all 4. Then you're going to take this ring finger and you're going to slide it down to 6 on the A, and then slide it back up to 7 to finish that measure. So 21 sounds something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... And then we go on to 22. Go back to G7 sus2. Played it a few times now. Middle finger on the 2nd fret of the C string. Index here on the 1st fret of the E string. Pluck all 4. Go to our G13. Index on 5 of the C. Ring finger on 7 of the E and the A strings. Pluck all 4. In time, that's something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... Going into 23 now. 23 is pretty fun because it's going to be all open, C6. And then we're going to play a C, 3rd fret on the A string with our ring finger. Then we're going to play an E flat diminished. That's the 2-3-2-3 that we played earlier. Index on the G string, 2nd fret. Ring finger on the 3rd fret C string, middle finger on the 2nd fret of the E string, and pinky here on the 3rd fret of the A. We're going to pluck all 4. So 23 in time is something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... And then we're going to go on to measure 24, which if you notice, this all looks very familiar. It's because it's basically the same sort of stuff as measure 8. It's just a little bit different, a little bit easier, but still tricky. So we're going to go to that G7 we played, bar across the 5th fret of the C, E, and A strings with your index finger. Take your ring finger, place it on the 7th fret of the E string. Pluck your G, C, and E together. 5 on the A, 7 on the E. And then we're going to slide all the way down to that G7 sus2, middle finger on the 2nd fret of the C string, index finger here on the 1st fret of the E string, pluck all 4. Then we're going to play open on the G. So measure 24, something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... And here's what measures 21, 22, 23, 24 all sound like in time. We'll do it just a little bit faster. 2 and 3 and 4 and... Going on to measure 25 now, we're going to go to an A minor chord for the first time. It's funny, we played a bunch of A7s, but this is our first A minor. Index finger on the 2nd fret of the G string, ring finger here to the 3rd fret of the A string, pluck all 4. And then we're going to play the 3 on the A again. So in time, that measures something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... Going on to 26, we're going to play a C7, index finger on the 1st fret of the A string, pluck all 4 strings. Pinky goes up to 5 on the A. Ring can go to 3 on the A. Pinky back up to 5 on the A. So that measure in time is something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... Going on to 27, we're going to go to an F chord. Take your middle finger, add it to the second fret of the G string, index to the first fret of the E string, and your ring finger, third fret on the A. Now, quick little tip. If you did that C7 part right, where you did the 5 on the A, 3 on the A with the ring, you could just leave it on there as you switch to this F, which makes it a little bit easier when you have that consistency between them. So we're going to pluck the G, C, and E and A together, 2, 0, 1, 3. And we're going to play the 3 on the A a second time. So 27 in time is something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. Going into 28, we're going to play an A flat chord. Sounds scarier than it is. All that you have to do for this A flat chord is play a G chord and then move it up. That's it. That's all there is to it. So how do we play a G? Well, index on second fret of the C, ring on third fret of the E, middle on second fret of the A, and we just move it up 1 fret. So the index is now 3 on the C, ring is now 4 on the E, and the middle is here on 3 of the A. And we're going to pluck our C, E, and A strings together. We're going to play the A again, and then 5 on the A with the pinky, 3 again, taking the pinky off, and then 5 again, adding the pinky on. So in time, that's something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. And so that we can hear it, here's measures 25, 26, 27, and 28, all in time, just a little bit faster. 2 and 3 and 4 and. And we're in the home stretch now. Measures 29, 30, 31, 32. We're going to start with measure 29, which is going to be C6, all open. And then we're going to play an E flat diminished, very similar to the E flat diminished 7 we played earlier. If you remember, the E flat diminished 7 looked like this. Well, the E flat diminished is just the pinky off. So it's just your index on the second fret of the G string, your ring on the third fret of the C string, and your middle here on the second fret of the E string, open on the A. We pluck all 4. So that sounds like this in time. 2 and 3 and 4 and. Going on to 30, we're going to play that G7 sus2, which has been a regular contributor to this song. Middle finger here on the second fret of the C string, index here on the first fret of the E string. Pluck the G, C, and E together. And then we're going to play open on the G, open on the A. 2 on the A, adding the ring finger into place. Open on the A, taking that ring finger off. Open on the G. In time, measure 30 should be something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. And then measure 31, very simple. We're just going to play a C chord, just the third fret on the A string. Then we're going to play an F minor. So we're going to add our index here on 1 of the G, middle finger here on 1 of the E, pinky finger here on 3 of the A. And that's all there is for that measure. So in time, that's something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. And for the very last measure of the song, we're going to play a C chord. Start there with just the third fret on the A string. And then we're going to play open on the G. Take that finger off, play open on the A, open on the G again, and we'll finish it all off with a C7, just index finger here on the first fret of the A string. So in time, measure 32 is something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. And I like to use my thumb on that last strum. I also like to slow down this whole part just because it sounds so cool. So here's what measures 29, 30, 31, and 32 should sound like. A little bit faster. 2 and 3 and 4 and. And so that you can hear it, here is the whole section C, theme 3, played a little bit faster so that you can really get a feel for it. Something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. And there you have it. There is Charleston. This is a really fun jazz standard. Feel free to spice it up a little bit however you'd like. It's okay to mess with it a bit because these chord changes are so much fun and the melody has some leeway to it. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments below. And I'll look forward to next time to see you guys on the next lesson here on Rock Class 101. Thanks so much.
Alright guys, so this week's ukulele lesson was a ton of fun. This is an iconic song from the Roaring Twenties, and I think it really encapsulates what we think of when we think of the Roaring Twenties. So I want to give you guys a friendly reminder that if you wanted to get the tabs to print, keep for your records, that was available at this link right here, or you can go to the site rockclass101.com, do a search for the Charleston. Now also on that page was the really cool interactive on-screen tab viewer, so you can literally hit play, you can watch that tab scroll across in real time, you can highlight bars, loop sections, slow down, all that fun jazz. So guys, again, I hope you enjoyed this lesson and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.